fourth graders, for today's English lesson, you are going to be working on the page that says Chapter 13 Review. It's pages 253 and 254. This will be a graded page that I grade for accuracy, so I'm going to be looking for what did you get right and wrong specifically, so I want you to do your very best to try to remember what you've learned in this chapter. You can always go back and look at all the other pages in the instruction to be able to tell what you need to do, because many of these exercises are just like the ones that you've done so far. So first off, we're going to review some things. What does an adjective describe? An adjective describes a noun. What does it tell? Well, an adjective tells us what kind or how many. What are the three articles? The three articles are a, an, and the, and they are used as adjectives. How is a proper adjective different from a regular adjective? Well, its proper form makes it into a noun. Like we could say America and then American. What does an adverb describe? An adverb describes a verb. What does an adverb tell? It tells us how, when, or where. What comparing forms do we use to compare two people, places, or things? That's when we use ER, like bigger, or more, like more intelligent. What comparing forms do we use to compare more than two people, places, or things? That's when we use EST, like biggest, or most, like most intelligent. What comparing forms do we use to compare two actions? It's to, so it would be ER or more. What comparing forms do we use to compare more than two actions? That's EST and most. How do we know when to use good or well? Good is always an adjective. Well is an adverb unless it's talking about your health. Then it's an adjective. So if we are saying, describing a person, place, or thing, we would say good. That's a good dog. But if we are telling how something is done, we would use well. Like you did well on that test. And then if you're talking about how you feel, you use well. I feel well today. Okay, so I want you to work through this page, read the directions carefully, do your best, check your answers by looking back over the chapter and finding the sections that are similar and seeing if your answers are similar to what you've done before. Then, as you move on to reading today, you're going to be starting a new story. This is a historical fiction story called Night Ride to River Station. This is a story about a boy who has a dream of being a part of the Pony Express. Pony Express was a mail system. They would take the mail by horse and they would leave it from St. Joseph, Missouri, and they would head west towards San Francisco. And so he really, really dreamed of being a Pony Express rider. So this is all about the things that are going to happen to him. You see it's page 590 to 604. Today you're going to just read pages 590 to 597. Our vocabulary for today, we have clumsily, crumple, express, fidget, gravely, and harmonica. I clumsily dropped the tall stack of packages. If you drop something clumsily, you did it awkwardly. Ethan crumpled the paper and threw it in the trash can. Well, if you crumple a paper, you wrinkle it up. Mom hurried to get the express lane at the grocery store. Express lane is a lane that goes quick. The little girl fidgeted in her seat during the play and distracted others. She was wiggling. Nathan yelped as he walked barefoot across the gravelly driveway. Gravelly would be rocky. The tune from the soldier's harmonica echoed throughout the camp. His harmonica is a mouth harp. So like I said, this is a historical fiction story. It takes place in a setting from the past. So it's a fiction, it's a made-up story, but the setting it's in, the where it's happening and when it's happening are part of history. So the story may have real people and events from history, but made-up characters and details are added to these facts. Historical fiction allows the reader to see the past in a new way. So the big ideas today is that fictional details may add even more excitement to historical events. So as you're reading through today's pages, I want you to watch for those fictional details. that make the story seem to come alive. Make it feel like you're right there in the story. Please start on 590 by reading about the history of the Pony Express and then begin reading the story and see what's going to happen to this main character, Seth, and his desire to ride on the Pony Express. Then after you finish reading today's pages, you're going to go to your workbook and you're going to go to page 235. And you're going to be looking about increased mood. Remember, the mood of the story is how the author's words make you feel. So in the beginning section, you're going to write the mood each sentence creates. So as you read that sentence, what emotion is the author trying to get the reader to feel? Then you've got a couple of sentences that you need to rewrite to add more details to create a specific mood. So Jane held the baby chimp. It's just a plain old boring sentence. It doesn't make you feel anything. But you want to make this sentence have the mood of love. You want us to get the impression that Jane loves the baby chimp. So think about what details you could add, things that happen in the story. What would Jane do when she held the baby chimp if she really loved the chimp? Same thing for number 6. Peter looked at the snake. Okay, well, was he afraid? Was he not? Did he just glance at it? You know, it doesn't tell us much. So you want to make it bold. How would Peter look at the snake if he was being bold? He was being brave. Then number 7, the ape smelled something in the air. Okay, it doesn't tell us much. Well, how would it sound if he showed curiosity as he was smelling something in the air? Add some detail, something that happened that shows that the ape was curious. Then you have a few questions to answer about the mood and the story and things that happened here with Seth. Then on the back, you have to mark an X in each column. Which feature in each column is true of historical fiction? Which of those descriptions goes with a historical fiction story? Then mark the best answer and then use those vocabulary words in those sentences. Then as you move on to spelling today, you're on our last page here for list 29. Page 117, you have practice with dictionary skills today. You're looking at the dictionary usage of accent marks. An accent mark is used to show which syllable in a word is the stressed syllable. The dictionary pronunciation respelling includes an accent mark on a stressed syllable. This syllable can also be referred to as the accented syllable. A word with a prefix or suffix is usually divided between the base word and the prefix or suffix. The base word is usually the stressed or accented syllable, like misjudge. Miss is the prefix, judge is the root word, judge is what gets the emphasis. Faithful, faith is the root word. Researches, search is the root word. So as you work through here, you're going to place an accent mark on the stressed syllable in each word. Use the spelling dictionary to check your answer. Well, I can give you the hint that all through those 6 words, you're looking for what is the base word, the root word. That's the one that's stressed. You can look in the back of your spelling book and look these up in the spelling dictionary, and it'll show you in that part that's in the parentheses where you have the pronunciation, you'll see that little mark that shows which one is the accented syllable. Then for the next section, you're going to read each word in syllables. Place a dot between the syllables. Place an accent mark on the stressed syllable. Use the spelling dictionary to check your answers. Thoughtful. Write thought, put the dot, write full. Thought is the root word, so put your accent mark after thought. Then do all of that for all the way to the end. You can check the spelling dictionary to see how it should look divided by syllables and where the accent goes. And then for the bottom section, write the word or phrase that completes each sentence. So just read it and see which of those words fits into which description. Okay, have a good day.